Path of Exile's Keepers of the Flame update is less than a week away, and one of the headline features for patch 3.27 is the addition of Bloodline Classes, a new multi-classing option that allows you to essentially have two different ascendancies, but unlike the Wildwood ascendancies that we had access to in Affliction League, these new Bloodline classes will share ascendancy points with your primary ascendancy. So you'll still have a maximum of 8 points to spend between both your main ascendancy and your chosen Bloodline class. There's going to be a total of 10 Bloodline class options in 3.27, with the possibility of more being added in the future, and Bloodline classes will be accessed via defeating specific endgame bosses, such as the King in the Mists or Oshabi. Now, we don't have all of the information for Bloodline classes just yet, though GGG have stated that all 10 of the Bloodline classes will be revealed before launch. However, we currently have 3 Bloodline classes that have been fully unveiled, and one of them in particular took my interest quite a bit more than the others. That's the Chaos Bloodline, which is accessed by defeating the Trial Master. This one is interesting because it offers a bunch of Vaal Skill related stats, and Vaal skills can be very powerful, but they're limited by their unique mechanics. However, there is a really strong interaction that can be used with this new class to essentially provide full uptime on a Vaal skill buff such as Vaal Haste and Tailwind during mapping gameplay. But first, let's briefly discuss how Vaal skills function. When killing monsters, or when damaging rare or unique enemies, you gain Vaal Souls. You gain 1 Vaal Soul when slaying monsters, and you gain 1 Vaal Soul per 2% of life damage dealt to rare monsters, or 6 per 2% dealt to unique monsters with a 1 second cooldown. Vaal Souls are stored per Vaal skill gem, so if you have multiple different Vaal skills, any gained souls will charge a random skill, up to the maximum number of souls that can be stored per Vaal skill, which is the soul cost multiplied by the total number of uses that can be stored. Once a Vaal skill has enough stored souls, it will light up indicating that it's ready to be used, and using a Vaal skill will incur a Vaal soul gain prevention period, where you're unable to gain any souls for any Vaal skill for a duration based on the Vaal skill used. Now, important to mention here is that most duration-based Vaal skills have this line right here. Modifiers to skill effect duration also apply to this skill's soul gain prevention. Or this one. Modifiers to buff duration also apply to this skill's soul gain prevention duration. And these lines, combined with the fact that most Vaal duration skills have a higher base soul gain prevention duration compared to the actual duration of the buff, has meant that historically it's been very difficult to have good uptime on these skills, outside of the use of some exceptionally strong modifiers that have come and gone in past leagues, like the Runesmithing Dagger modifier from Settlers, which provided 100% reduced soul gain prevention duration. However, Bloodline classes are new core game content in Path of Exile, and the Chaos Bloodline class offers some very powerful Vaal skill modifiers. One of the notables this class offers is this choice branch right here, and the first option is up here is the Priest of Yaomac. 20% reduced soul gain prevention duration, Vaal skills require 30% less souls per use, and Vaal skills have 20% chance to regain consumed souls when used. Now, there's also a rarely used unique ring that has existed for a long time, Triumvirate Authority. This one drops exclusively from Atziri, and when dropping from normal Atziri, it will have 3 random modifiers from this pool, and when dropping from Uber Atziri, it will have 4 random modifiers. This is an unset ring, and this is where you'll be placing your desired Vaal skill buff, likely Vaal Haste. So this ring provides a few bonus gem levels, which isn't really too important, but it can roll some very strong modifiers. Now, to be clear here, to make this interaction work, you technically only need 1 specific modifier on this ring, assuming you can kill enough monsters to regain souls, but ideally you have 2 specific modifiers. Socketed Vaal skills have 30% reduced soul gain prevention duration, and socketed Vaal skills require 30% less souls per use. These 2 modifiers will enable the tech to work, but the absolute ideal ring is a 4-mod ring, so it must come from Uber Atziri, and it will have these 4 modifiers, the previously mentioned mods, and socketed Vaal skills have 50% increased aura effect, and you have Tailwind if you've used a socketed Vaal Skill recently. Okay, so let's just take the 2-mod ring for a moment. The socketed Vaal Skill will have 50% reduced soul gain prevention duration, 20% from Priest of Yaomac, and 30% from the ring. And it will also have 2 instances of 30% less soul cost, bringing the base soul cost down to just below half the normal cost. So let's apply these numbers to Vaal Haste, which has a base buff duration of 4 seconds and a base soul gain prevention duration of 6 seconds. With 50% reduced soul gain prevention duration, that soul gain prevention period will be cut down to just 3 seconds. Meanwhile, the soul cost will be lowered from 50 to 25. That means we're already into the positive uptime, with a 3-second soul gain prevention period and a 4-second buff duration. But having a period of just 1 second to gain 25 souls and use this skill again isn't ideal, even though it likely would be fine in very juiced maps. But this is where a very important Runegraft comes in, the Runegraft of the Warp. Debuffs on you expire 30% faster, buffs on you expire 30% slower. Now, really important to note here, expiration rate modifiers are not modifiers to skill effect or buff duration. They don't actually modify the duration of an effect, they instead change the speed that time passes for an effect. And this means that this Runegraft is not only a multiplier for the effective duration of Vaal Haste, but it also does not impact the soul gain prevention duration in any way. So the effective duration of Vaal Haste with this Runegraft would go from 4 seconds to about 5.7 seconds, providing a window of almost 3 seconds to regain souls and use Vaal Haste again. And during modern Path of Exile mapping, it's extremely trivial to be able to kill 25 monsters in a few seconds. Not to mention the fact that because you have Vaal Haste, you're a lot faster, you can move faster and clear faster, so it kind of feeds into itself. So this is going to be a permanent uptime buff during mapping, and just based on that 2 modifier ring and a level 20 Vaal Haste, scaled up to level 22 from the extra gem levels modifier, this would grant 21% increased movement speed, 31% increased cast speed, and 32% increased attack speed all of the time. And those numbers are also going to be scaled by any aura effect modifiers that you have. But let's say you have the perfect 4-mod ring, which also has Tailwind if you've used a socketed Vaal Skill in the last 4 seconds, and it has 50% increased aura effect for the socketed Vaal Skill. Well then, you'd be gaining 31% increased movement speed, 46% increased cast speed, and 48% increased attack speed, and 8% increased action speed from the Tailwind buff. And once again, those numbers do not include any extra aura effects that you have elsewhere. But do note that the Tailwind is fixed at a 4-second duration due to the modifier wording, but you're still going to have that buff up most of the time. So this is a pretty crazy way to gain a huge amount of speed from some new tech in this patch, and obviously this is a mapping thing. It's not really going to work for bossing because of the 1-second internal cooldown on gaining souls from dealing damage to unique monsters. But it's an interesting trade-off for mapping. You're spending 2 of your Ascendancy points on this, and 1 of your ring slots, and a passive point on a mastery for the Runegraft. But I think it's quite powerful to be able to have Vaal Haste active all of the time while mapping. It's going to be really juicy with all of those extra breach monsters this league, that's for sure. And the crazy thing about this is that you can do it on any class, on any Ascendancy, on any build, because it only needs the Bloodline class, which can be accessed on any of the normal classes. One other thing to know, of course, is that you don't want to have another Vaal Skill on your character, you only want this one so that all of the souls charge this one up. Now lastly, I will mention that this isn't exclusive to Vaal Haste. You could use Vaal Grace for a defensive boost, or Vaal Clarity is an interesting one too, making your skills have no mana cost, and that one actually works without the Runegraft. But that's pretty much it. Some new tech that's possible with the new Bloodline classes in 3.27. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.